Hey everyone, this is Tom from MonTac here, doing the weekly MonTac Matchup. This will be for July 15th, and this week we have generally a top 5 player, Apocalyptic, joining us from Romania. How are you feeling?
Hello, I'm good. I'm just really happy to be here.
That's great, man. So for anyone who doesn't know, Apocalyptic has been a top 5 player quite recently. It's only recently dropped out of that. Definitely be looking to get back in there this week. Notorious for his Steel Edge Angels that he used to use, but now he might be going to Steel Edge Sunwalkers. But a lot of things occurred during the week, so we actually have no idea what he could be using. So it'll be very fun to see how he makes those changes.
I don't know either what I'm playing yet.
Fantastic, as confident as always.
Yeah.
So we've got a few matches this week for you to have a look over. Obviously, the very first matchup for you here is Apocalyptic. Well, it's you taking on Zweistein. But we'll leave that one for later. We'll get your opinion on that one later. Let's get to the next match, which is Tailsweet taking on old buddy of yours, Crowler, who you had a couple interactions with. Crowler, for anyone who doesn't know, is also from Romania. What are your general thoughts? You don't have to pick a victor right away, but what are your general thoughts on this matchup?
It's really hard to say, if you ask me, really. I think that they, I know they're both quite old in playing. Let's say they have been for a long time in the community. Yeah, I think they're, I don't know if inexperienced is the correct word, but I'm gonna say it.
Okay. So who do you think's got this so far, or do you want to discuss that later? You need to give you some time to think about it.
I'm gonna say Tailsweet. Yeah.
All right, you think Tailsweet?
Yeah.
Alright then, so let's get to this match. We've got Misfire vs Shadow Galaxy Wolf.
Yeah.
So Misfire obviously been very dominant lately, taking down both Charging Badger and Rish Potato. And Shadow Galaxy Wolf, just losing out to her last week proves how top-notch you are as a contender. Her Troshan's getting that buff definitely would have put her over the edge there. Misfire did suffer a couple nerfs to his deck due to, well, it's just usually the cumulative brokenness of some of those cards, so that could take him down a couple notches, but overall his main strategy shouldn't actually be impacted. Enough of me rambling. Who do you got for this match?
I see this match like the ultimate offense and the ultimate defense, if you know what I mean. I mean, dragons are very, very aggressive, and Toroshans are very defensive, and it depends if they can withstand that offense.
Definitely. I mean, at this stage, Misfire with the Dragon Angel package is probably the most offensive deck you could build. And Shadow with Toroshans, even if it's just pure Toroshans, the amount of defense she brings to the table with just, multiple Masked Identities, multiple Savage Duels, multiple Toroshan, she's just got so much defense in that deck. And the best part is she could be making changes as we speak. So we have no idea how that deck plays currently. And we don't know if this is going to be the one, because obviously she has never been this high up on the ladder. You've made, second spot a couple times, but she has never reached this height. So it's going to be actually very, very interesting to see a massive clash with Misfire's style. So she has beaten him before. Now, of course, he was using Life Gamblers at that stage. He was using Life Gamblers, but she has beat him before. So it'll be very interesting to see who's going to put the 1 on the other person's record.
The early game might go to Shadow, I think, because of that Toroshan Guard, the Specialty Flash, the Dual Shield. But if Misfire could hang on and go to the late game, I think he could win. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So you're thinking early game Shadow Galaxy Wolf, late game Misfire. And when you say late game, I assume you mean like extra time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That definitely will be one of the closest matches we're going to see. But yeah, alright. Interesting. No, actually, this is a title match. And it has been changed recently, so it's a best of 1. which means she only has to win the one match. So, with that in mind, do you have a definitive prediction right now, or should we want to ask you later?
I want to say Shadow, but I think that if the match is going to the late game, I'm going to say Misfire.
Alright, Misfire overall, interesting. He'll be retaining in the eyes of Apocalyptic. I'm sure you want her to lose as well, but from your last match. But yeah, that was very close. Let's go on the next match. Now this one is this is pretty funny. We've got some interesting personalities clashing here. Tamoose, rank 10, just losing out of top 8 now, taking on Squishy, who's back on the rise. Both are quite very colourful opponents with how they interact in the Discord, so this could definitely be a very, very interesting match. If this was a month ago, then most people would say Squishy has got it, but due to the rapid evolution of Tamoose recently, whole new deck, whole new playstyle, barely losing to a former champion in Charging Badger last week, I mean, this is actually quite potentially a very dangerous matchup for Squishy. What do you think?
It's hard for me to say. I never played Tamoose, but I do believe in Squishy. I mean, praise the sun, But I don't know. I noticed recently that Sunwalkers are like a bit power crept,
Yeah. No, people are having to find a lot more ways to kind of make them more viable. I noticed Minotaurs being targeted a lot more for use, so not sure how that's going to go. So are you picking Squishy for this one?
Yeah, just because he has a lot more experience with his deck, I believe, so I think he can manage.
Now, in the event that, obviously, let's assume you guys both get through your matches. In the event you guys get really close to each other, how do you feel like that final match with Squishy going? Because the first match went to, I'm pretty sure you got the better of him in the first match, and then he got you in the second. How do you think that third match is going to go?
Me versus Squishy.
Because you guys have had a lot of changes over the last few months, so.
I mean, I beat him before. I think I know his strategy pretty well, so I think I could work around that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with your current changes that have been, recently with Sunwalkers. It's going to be very interesting to see if you can get through Squishy, especially with his special, that is his specialty as Sunwalkers. And we saw last weekend, Squishy took on Doozy, and Doozy deviated from his usual Banded Angels and went straight into Sunwalkers, untested. So he took on Squishy with Sunwalker versus Sunwalker, and you're taking on a specialist. It didn't go very well.
Can imagine.
Where do you think you're gonna differentiate from that?
I mean, this Steel Age package I'm using, I think makes it like a pretty different deck. The strategy is not like the same, but I'm trying to build a new deck. I don't know if I should say.
Oh, no, don't have to tell us what it is, but just the fact you're building a new deck is enough to get people a little bit more nervous.
Combine two archetypes that should not work well together.
Interesting. I'm definitely really keen to see how that goes. But yeah, so you're picking Squishy?
Yeah, Squishy.
Alright, fair enough.
Praise the sun.
Now let's get to... yes. Let's get to the next match. We've got Dan B coming off a hot win over Crowler, and Doozy just coming off of that loss to Squishy. Regardless of Dan B's high ranking, he's only one match deep into the competition. This is his first season. Definitely a great win over Crowler is always a good start. I know you haven't really interacted with Dan B, but I believe have you had a match with Doozy? I feel like you have.
Yeah, my first ever match was with Doozy.
Yeah, so what are you thinking for this match?
Like, hard for me to say. I haven't played Dan and Doozy. I haven't played in a long time. But I'm leaning towards Doozy, just like the same with Squishy. I think he has more experience, and if he uses a deck he knows, not like builds a deck and then tries it for the first time in a match, I think he could win.
So obviously, I guess you'd pick Doozy there for the experience. But let's get into your match, which will be very interesting because we've got basically the battle for Europe, really. This guy, it's hard to believe you've never interacted with Zwei, but
I played the once when he just built a new deck and he wanted to try it out. We played a casual match, but
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, nothing more.
How'd that casual match go?
It was a draw, I think. We got
interesting.
40 minutes and both at 15.
Oh, interesting. So that means none of you guys have any sort of edge over the other.
I wasn't using my competitive deck then, but...
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
So you're definitely feeling reasonably confident in this then?
Yeah, I believe in my deck, yeah. But as I said, I'm getting mixed feelings about this match.
Well, yeah, no, he's probably the most dominant rookie to come through. I mean, really, the only person that could potentially rival him is probably Dan B, if Dan B gets through Doozy and then gets through the next opponent. That's probably the only person that could rival Zwei in terms of how rocketed he came through, because in that tournament, he went through Shadow Galaxy Wolf and Squishy, who are now both in the top 3. The only reason he's at the bottom so now, he's only lost to Badger once. That's the only loss. He only has one loss in his overall record.
He placed second in the tournament, yeah.
Yeah, he came really, really close. And that's with very little experience too. So
exactly.
Going to this matchup, what do you think is going to be the trickiest part of taking on Zwei?
Yeah, I have to keep my hand in the game. I have to see all of them. I have to think 3 steps ahead if I want to beat him, I think.
Because you've only just barely missed out on the ladder this last week. So I believe your points-wise, you're on about, I think, 1 point. So a win here would get you quite high up in top 8. Looking at top 8, which opponents, who do you think would be, let's say that obviously Misfire is currently the champion, but other than Misfire, who do you think would be the toughest matchup for you in the top 8?
Toughest matchup? Yes, hard to say. I think in the right circumstance, all of them. Like,
ooh, interesting.
Yeah, Shadow and Squishy, I lost to them, I beat them, it's a tough. Your last proper matchup, now your last matchup with Misfire, technically he won via forfeit, but your last matchup with Misfire where you played competitively, you both showed up, both competed, you actually won very dominantly. Yeah, but
obviously this...
have much experience with dragons at that time, and
True.
Yeah.
He has evolved quite a lot, but there's got to be a feeling to you where you're thinking, I've beat this guy before, I can do it again.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very interesting matchup. Alright, let's get this in rapid fire. So obviously, let's go with Tail Sweet Crowler. Who you got?
Tail Sweet.
Tail Sweet, alright. Misfire, Shadow Galaxy Wolf.
Misfire, I'll say, yeah.
Misfire, alright. Tamu, Squishy.
Squishy,
alright. And then Dan B and Doozy.
Let's say, yeah.
Alright then. And then obviously you put yourself there. So that should be a very interesting ladder. With a win there, I believe that'll take you, very close, if not in top 5. Definitely right where you belong. We'll see how that goes. Thank you very much for doing the weekly MonTac matchup with me. I look forward to doing more in the future.